What's up everyone, this is Crumpet here, bringing you a tutorial for a new universal mob farm that I've designed for 1.9, the Double Shift Towers. Those of you who have seen my previous design will find the Double Shift Towers to be very similar to my old one, but the Double Shift Towers is much more efficient, totaling over 22,000 items per hour for the full-size farm in perfect conditions, or 11,000 items per hour for the half-size farm in perfect conditions. The Double Shift Towers also now uses a little bit more resources than my previous version, but I honestly think it's worth the efficiency of it, and I've tried to stay pretty true to it being resource efficient, and I've tried to minimize on as much resources as I possibly could. Now the reason why the Double Shift Towers is so efficient is because with 4 stacked floors of shifting floors, a single mob, or every mob, even from the very top floor, is going to be able to fall through all the way to the bottom within a single shift. This even works for spiders. However, with the timing, and now needing to use soul sand versus slabs as I could before, this means with the too tall height of each floor, that Endermen are no longer going to be able to spawn in there, so we won't be getting those from the farm anymore. Anyways, enough talk, let's get on with the tutorial. Alright, to start off the design, we're going to be starting off with the collection system. I'm not going to be doing a storage system or anything like that. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. If you want to do your own different type of collection system, you're more than welcome to do that, obviously. And I'll give you the dimensions, and then after we get the dimensions, I'll put a link in the video and you can skip ahead to the actual farm. So to start off, we have some materials, the material list right here. 30 redstone torches, 30 repeaters, 30 comparators, 90 levers, 60 hoppers, 16 chests. I think I said 6T hoppers, I just wanted to be sure about that. 14 trap chests, 18 jack-o'-lanterns, 330 rails, 150 powered rails, and then 30 minecart with hoppers. And I'm starting to think a floor of hoppers might have been just as easy, if not like less resource, more resource efficient, that is. And then you're going to need some slabs and some solid blocks. We're going to grab our solid block for now, and our dimensions for this, we're going to start off, we need to leave ourselves some vertical space for the collection system, but we're going to come up by 4 blocks, and then from there we're going to come back 16 more blocks to make a 17 long side, which will be the front side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And that'll be our corner. And then we will come back 14 more blocks, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I believe that's I might have miscounted that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, that's correct. Okay. Fill on that side. Alright, and this is going to be the size for the half-size farm. If you're going to do the full-size farm, then come over here to one of the sides on the 17 long side, skip 5 blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 6th block, so after you've skipped 5, so break out those 5 in the middle, build the same shape that you already did. So just go ahead and build that, and then fill in the floor inside of the frame here, and then we'll be set for the next step. Alrighty, so when you're done that, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. For the people who have decided to do their own collection system, where the quartz blocks are is where you're going to need your collection system. It's a 15 by 13 area inside of there. So just do whatever you want with that, and then there's going to be a link right here at the bottom of the screen to skip ahead in the video to the rest of the system. But for the people who are going to be continuing with the hopper minecart collection system, we're going to grab our next pieces out of our chest, which are going to be our hoppers, our chests, and our trap chests. So from here, we're going to want to come out to the side. If you've built the full side, or the full size farm, you're probably going to want to do it where it's in the middle. So going either way, put a block right there that's just going to be temporary. And then we're going to build some hoppers coming out facing towards one direction. And you can do this by shift clicking pretty much anything with like some sort of inventory or some other thing you can press. You can shift click in order to not get the inventory to place other blocks on top of it. So now with our chest and our trap chest, we're going to need to alternate chest and trap chest in order to make this tileable. So just keep on doing this all the way down, and then for the people doing the full-size version of the farm, do it on the other side as well. I'm not going to do that for time purposes, or at least on camera. And then on top of all those chests, put a hopper facing downwards. Alright, fill in that other side, and I will see you guys for the next step. Alrighty, when that's all done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this, or hopefully exactly like this. Next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to need to lay down our tracks soon, but for some reason, despite reading that mobs should not be able to spawn on rails anymore, we are in pre-release 1.92, or 1.9 pre-2 that is, and despite them saying that mobs should no longer be able to spawn on rails, that's not the case. So what we're going to do in here is, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but from where this hopper is right here, starting off counting on that hopper, we're going to want to count 4 blocks diagonally. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 where I punched that hole, and then come underneath it. But we're going to be putting jack-o'-lanterns where we are right now, where that hole is punched, but you can't place jack-o'-lanterns without a solid block underneath it, so just punch a little hole, put a solid block under there, put your jack-o'-lantern, come over to the other side with the hopper, do the same thing, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then just come down under here, get a solid block underneath it, place a jack-o'-lantern, and then you can see there's 7 blocks in between it, so you can just break out that one, and then we'll be putting a jack-o'-lantern there. You already know how to do that. And then from here, from this lapis block, not from the edge of the quartz block on the opposite side, we're going to again do from the corners, we're going to come out 1, 2, 3, and 4, punch out that block. Again from this lapis block, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the one in the center, and then there's 8 blocks in between those 2 holes, so it doesn't really matter. You can do it on either one. It's not going to be perfectly symmetrical, but we can punch out holes right there, and then putting the jack-o'-lanterns in. You can't use glowstone for this because glowstone you cannot place anything or rails on top of, that is. So we got to use jack-o'-lanterns, or I guess redstone lamps would be acceptable, but we're trying to keep this cheap, so redstone lamps would not fit the bill. So in these holes, put jack-o'-lanterns like I've shown, and do that. Go ahead and do the same on that other side if you're building the full-sized. Alrighty, now we have our jack-o'-lanterns in. Everything's all nice and bright, so nothing will spawn inside of our hopper minecart area. So we're ready to put our rails in, and we're going to want to do that before we finish the rest of the unloader, because it's going to be a lot easier to put our rails in now rather than later. So from the edge of the hoppers, you're going to want to build some temporary blocks next to every single one of the hoppers, and then on the opposite side, next to the lapis block, another row of temporary blocks on this side as well. Alright, and now we're going to want to put in our rails. So from on top of the hopper, we're going to put a powered rail, a regular rail, another powered rail, 4 regular rails, another powered rail, 4 regular rails again, a powered rail, 2 regular rails, and then another final power rail. Now the reason why we have that extra row of blocks on either side is when you're extending this out the other direction, these rails like to turn on you, and it's a real pain in the ass. So what you can do to prevent that, see if we do it right here, if I'll try to put down another powered rail, and it's going to turn. So what we can do is we can place another rail, just a temporary rail, on the row past it, and then once we place one down here, it'll line up properly. So you can keep doing that, like so. And then once you get up to the end, you can just go ahead and do that again. And then just for every single row, move the temporary ones over by 1, and you should be able to pretty easily get all these rails in. Before I cut off and finish the rest of this though, while we're getting our rails in, or once you finish getting your rails in, you're going to want to go underneath the farm, and for these rows of the three rows of rails that are powered rails that are on top of the quartz blocks. So none of the ones that are on top of the hoppers or the set that's on top of the frame right there, those ones don't need levers, but we're going to come underneath the farm and just put levers down for every single one of these. So I'm going to finish getting the rest of these placed off camera, and then we'll be ready to just about finish building the rest of the loading or the unloading station. Okay, we are now ready to build the rest of the unloading system. So now, coming over to where your chests are, we're going to want to build a line of solid blocks next to all the chests. Alrighty. Now, coming over to any one of these, we're going to put a comparator on top of that solid block, put another solid block coming out from that comparator or being pointed into by the comparator. We're going to put a redstone torch on top of that, a block on top of that redstone torch, and a block on top of that comparator. And now a block on top of that unpowered power rail. And now we're going to put a repeater onto that. And we're going to continue this pattern going all the way down. Alrighty, and now you should have something that looks like this. So remember, coming off from the chest, solid block with a comparator on top of it, another solid block diagonal to that with a redstone torch on top of that, and then this little V shape, so all of it's pretty much going to be diagonals with redstone repeaters pointing back into that block, which should power the rails underneath it. So now we're pretty much done with the unloading system. We just need to kind of frame it in now. So we can come out by one next to where the powered rails are. And actually I'm going to do this with glass so we can see what's going on in there. And we're going to need some slabs as well. Oops. Okay, so pretty much keep your frame solid blocks like normal. So two solid blocks on top of where the hopper and then the next one over is on the frame, and then you can kind of just fill this in with glass like normal, or well, pretty much with anything you want really. I'm going to do glass just to view it. And then on this back side where these power rails are with nothing behind it, we are going to have an extra row like that. We don't need that corner block. Just one extra row of blocks being pointed into, that are diagonal to where those rails are, next to the rails, that is. And then that'll be our corner again, like normal. And then on where the powered rails are, you can just go ahead and place a solid block behind it, or on top of it, that is, excuse me. And just fill that in. Now we can see through it to make sure our hopper minecarts don't get stuck or anything. It's nice to be able to see into it, see what's going on. So before we slab all this up, we just need to grab our hopper minecarts real fast. And go ahead and place one on every single one of these unpowered power rails on the far side. Some of them are going to start flying off, and that's okay. They should come back if they hit the power rails. If they don't, as you can see, some of them are a little bit further off. Just to be safe, go ahead and just run along the edge like this, and this will kind of push them back in, and then you're all set. Now, finally, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need some bottom half slabs, or half slabs that is, where the bottom half of that second glass block is, so just above where the hopper minecarts go, and just go ahead and fill that in completely so you have an entire floor of slabs. And then we will be ready to build the rest of the farm. Alrighty, and that should just about finish it for the collection system. We will eventually need to, if you come take a look, those are going to be unpowered for now. Where this back line of blocks is, later on in the video when we're hooking up the on-off switch, we will connect that up. That's very simple. But right now, let's just take a quick look around so you can kind of see, make sure you did everything correctly. Oops, sorry, wrong button. Everything looked good? Alrighty, So now we're ready to build the actual mob farm design. Alrighty, for the next step of the tutorial, we're going to be building the actual farm now that we have our collection system in place. So if we come down here, I got a list of all the supplies, or at least the redstone supplies that you're going to need for the complete rest of the farm. And if you're doing the half size, for the sticky not the sticky pistons, for the regular pistons, the soul sand, and the redstone dust, and some of the repeaters, you can pretty much divide all those by half, but some of the redstone system is shared, so it's not going to be perfect. But anyways, we're going to need 450 redstone dust, 5 redstone blocks, 31 torches, or redstone torches that is, 20 repeaters, 4 comparators, 3 hoppers, 1 dropper, 6 sticky pistons, 240 regular pistons, and 1,440 soul sand. And then obviously you're going to need some solid blocks as well. So we're going to start off, we're going to need to kind of mark off some spots as we're on our way up, and then I'll leave you to kind of fill in the rest of it, and I'll do that off camera. But from our corner where our little our stand is right here, we're going to need to come up, we're going to start off by going up 20 blocks. So 20 blocks from where our actual spawn floor is. So you see I'm at 6.5 right now on the debug screen for my height. So we're going to round that up to 7, and so that means we're going to go up to 27. So just got the debug screen. I wasn't counting that. And one more. Okay, so this is going to be our first spot that we're going to mark off. So this will be kind of one of the areas that's going to ring around like this. So we're going to bring this up just to kind of show you the pattern. But everything from here on down, it doesn't matter what sort of block I use inside of this frame. It can be glass, it can be solid, it could even be empty, but I wouldn't really recommend empty because sometimes mobs will kind of fall a little bit sideways and then land outside of the collection area. So I do recommend filling in that area, but it can be glass if you build this on the surface and want to kind of view into it. But everything from here on up needs to be solid blocks. So now we're going to come up 10 more blocks. So we were at 27, so let's go up to 37. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this should be 37. Let's go ahead and check that. And we're good. So on 37 is where our first line of pistons is going to be. So we're going to have a line of pistons here. And just pretend that goes all the way across, and we've built that up too. And then we're going to have 4 floors, and there's going to be 2 air blocks between. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 2 with an or 2 air blocks in between. Then the next the next row of pistons. 2 more in between. Next row of pistons, and our 4th floor. So 2 between and our next row of pistons. So we should have 4 rows of pistons that will go all the way across. And then we'll just have 2 more spots ahead of airspace, so we have another 2 tall floor, and this is where our ceiling is going to be on this height level. Everything on the shorter side can just be completely filled in. You're not going to have anything special on the inside of the farm. So we can go ahead and fill in all the outside walls and everything like that, and we'll continue with the soul sand in just a moment once we get all these filled in. Alright everyone, well when you're done filling all that in, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. And if we come over into the inside, but let's take a look first, you can see, so 2 gaps between every single one of the pistons, but come inside. And probably should have done this already actually while we're building this up, but now we can go ahead and just kind of fill in between every single one of the pistons. You can kind of fill it in with soul sand and leave 1 airspace between the piston and the very last soul sand. So that'll give you 12 or rows of 12 soul sand, that is, which is just as many blocks as a piston can push. So go ahead and do that for every single one of these for both of the towers. Alrighty everyone, now that we've got our frame built, our soul sand placed, and everything, we're ready to start putting in the redstone that makes this farm tick. So let's come out over here, and on the back of every single one of these pistons, I'm just going to show you for the top row, we're going to want to put a line of solid blocks behind every single one of them, and where the two are sharing the same, in between the two, on that side you're going to want to put one coming over here and then kind of wrap it around this wall like so. And if you're only doing a single farm, it doesn't really, or the half size farm that is, doesn't matter which side you really do this on. Okay, and now we're going to do, for the people who are building the full size farm, let's get this one in place as well. And yes, I saw I accidentally placed one extra block that I didn't need to. Don't freak out over it. Okay, so now that we have all those blocks placed, figure out where your front is, where the unloading section is, and then we're going to kind of need to just keep that in mind for a second. Now figure out where the halfway mark is. It seems like this is it, and break out that middle block that's halfway. Now on the ones that are opposite of where your front is, so on the back side, these ones are going to come out by 1, and this one is going to come out by 2. Now diagonal to where that hole is, we're going to need a sticky piston, so put a temporary block there, and have your sticky piston there, one diagonal up and one diagonal over from either one of those, and place a block of redstone. Now what we're going to need to do is grab our redstone dust, and pretty much just fill in this entire section here. Where it wraps around the corner right here, we're going to need a repeater, and then everything else will be dust, like so. Don't need that block. And pretty much do the same, so, repeater here, repeater there, and then fill everything in with dust. I'm going to do that for all 4 of the floors, and then we can continue. Alrighty, now we've got all of our redstone in place, and these will be the redstones that actually power the pistons inside that, move back and forth. But it should look like this, the far side being powered, this again being our front. But now we need to kind of hook up next what is going to control the shifting. So starting off on this top piston, let's build 2 blocks back from it, and then diagonal up 1. We're going to put a redstone torch on the back, dust on the top, and then dust on those 2 blocks. Then coming off from this redstone torch, we're going to build down 2 blocks, break that one out, put another redstone dust, and then on the opposite side, put a redstone torch. Okay, come back down again, 2 down from underneath that torch. And this is pretty much just going to be a torch tower going all the way down, but on the back side, put another torch, and then connecting to that sticky piston, just run redstone all the way from the block over. Come over again, 2 underneath the redstone torch, break that, put another redstone dust, redstone torch, and then we can go ahead and connect it up like so. And now again, 2 more blocks down, break that one out, have a redstone dust here, redstone torch, 2 more blocks down from that, break that out, redstone dust, redstone torch again, and we can just kind of come over, bring that down 1, and then point it in like that, and now we're all set. That should hook up. So now when we power the top, let's grab a button. You should see, this might not be the perfect angle, but you should see all the sticky pistons push and then retract. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, now that we have that all hooked up and everything, we can hook it up. Now we're going to need to hook up our double shifter. So on either one of these, I'm going to choose to do it on the left side of this. So where that's the back, I believe that's the back. Yes, this is the back side. So we're going to come off to the left from this block. We're going to come up by one, and then bring that over again. On top of that block, we're going to want a redstone dust, and then we're going to need a repeater. We're also going to grab a couple things while we're over here. Our droppers, our hoppers, our comparators. We're going to need, let's see, sticky piston and redstone block. Alright, so now we'll put our repeater right there, and then we're going to want to build a 3x3 ring. So we're just going to go like this, where the corner is where that repeater is sticking out of. Put a dust here, and we're going to break this corner block out. We're going to put a dropper facing upwards, the hopper going back down into it, and we're going to put a comparator coming off of either side of the ring. Next, we're going to put dust in this corner again, and dust in that corner. We're going to put a repeater on 4 ticks here, and another repeater on 2 ticks right there. Next, we're going to put a solid block up against the dropper, and then a dust next to that, and then we're going to build a hopper clock right here. So we're going to put a sticky piston there, a sticky piston there, grab our hoppers, put 2 hoppers facing into each other by shift clicking. Comparators, solid block here, solid block there, redstone dust here, redstone dust there, and before we forget, put a single item into the dropper. And I would go ahead and hold off on this for now, or you can kind of you can place another redstone block right there, power that hopper somehow, just to kind of wait for now, but go ahead and put 4 items into that hopper as well. And now we're pretty much done. We just need to set up our on-off switch, which is going to be fairly easy. So coming back down to the bottom, I want to grab a redstone lamp. This is completely optional. You don't need to add this in. And we're going to need some redstone torches as well. And these are already all accounted for in the materials list that I showed you before. But anyways, so just halfway between the 2 pillars right here, I'm going to put a block there, a redstone lamp, and another block here. None of those are really necessary. And we're going to grab a lever as well, and put it right down there, excuse me. And now we're going to come back here, and we're going to kind of put a line like so, that's connecting up to that line that we built on our collection system earlier. So now coming back over here, we're going to make a torch tower alternating all the way up to the top, like so. So I'm going to build this all the way up and then break out everyone in between. Oops, no, don't fall. Okay, that should be good for now. And then go ahead and from the bottom, we're going to start breaking it out because that'll be easier. And the torch tower will end 1 higher than the ceiling. So now put redstone torches, obviously alternating every block all the way down. Alright, and now from the back of here, where this block is, where our lever is, just going to run redstone in a straight line all the way down. Okay, and then from this, where our line is that's connecting the 2, put 1 dust coming off of each side, solid blocks next to those, a redstone torch coming off the back of each one of those, and then just a line of redstone dust. And these will control our hopper mine carts from the collection system. So when the system is turned off, those things aren't still running, because we want this to be able to completely turn off. Alright, now let's go back up to the top, and pretty much we're just going to need to make it so we can disable the torch tower. So, I mean, not the torch tower, the clock. So we're going to build this one forward, and then bring it over here like so. Bring redstone dust coming off of it. Redstone dust all the way till 2 before that, the dust on the hopper clock. Put a block next to it, and then a repeater right there. And now we can go ahead and break that off too, because we now have it turned off. And now we are actually done with the farm. You will want to go ahead and slab up pretty much any surface or light up, however, you just don't want mobs spawning anywhere on the outside. Mob spawning outside of the farm is going to reduce efficiency, so I'm going to go ahead and slab this up, and then we can turn it on and take a look. Alrighty everyone, just wanted to make note real fast, I'm pretty much done slabbing, but some of the area in this in-between redstone pretty much is completely impossible to slab, so you're just going to want to throw some torches on the sides of some of these blocks just to make sure that it's completely impossible for nothing to spawn up here. And the torch tower should be safe, but I'm also going to be on the safe side and just put some torches here. But anyways, let's go back around to the front. And as you can see, this is what it's going to look like. I forgot to slab up that front section, but that's no big deal. But this is what it should look like when all is said and done. So now we can give it a bit of a test shot to see if it's all working properly. So let's take our game off of peaceful and hit the on switch. Immediately you should see our hopper minecarts are starting to attempt to collect stuff. And now you can already see huge amounts of mobs starting to fall out of here. So I think it works, guys. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, subscribe. I'm always doing LP videos, and I'm going to be doing some Far Cry and some other games on the channel too. So stick around if you want to watch some of that. But anyways, this has been the Double Shift Towers. I hope you enjoy it. Happy hunting.